All right, ready to dive in. Today, we're tackling commercial clients in restoration. You know, those bigger jobs that can really level up your business. We've got a ton of info here on how to not just land those big contracts, but actually turn them into those long-term money-making relationships we all want.
Yeah, for sure. And right off the bat, what really hit me is just how different this whole ballgame is compared to dealing with residential clients. I mean, you're not just trying to impress one homeowner. There's a whole team, a whole committee of decision makers you've got to navigate.
Oh, I bet. Sounds like herding cats, except these cats have spreadsheets and expense reports. So where do we even start? Who are the VIPs we need to win over?
Think of it like a whole production, right? Your
Hmm.
first point of contact is usually going to be the facility or property manager. They're like the stagehands, dealing with the everyday stuff in the building, but also the ones who usually spot those restoration needs early on.
Right, they're the ones yelling, "Help! We've got a flood in aisle 3."
Exactly.
Yeah.
But here's the catch. Even though they might be the ones raising the flag, they don't always control the budget. That's where the finance and procurement crew come in. They're the producers holding the purse strings.
Ah, the guardians of the bottom line. So we can't just charm our way through this. We need a solid plan.
You got it. It all comes down to understanding each player's role. Like, take all that documentation, providing all the nitty-gritty details. That's not just about checking boxes for the finance folks. It's about proving you're professional, that you get their world.
So it's kind of like speaking their language, but instead of cha-chings, it's more like depreciation schedules and liability waivers.
Exactly. And that whole attention to detail thing, it goes even further into how you tailor your services. Unlike a homeowner who might just need a quick cleanup, commercial projects, they often have really unique needs, tight deadlines, the whole shebang.
Okay, spill the tea. What kind of curveballs should we be ready for?
Picture this. You're working with a hotel, right? You can't exactly be ripping up carpets during peak check-in times.
Talk about a one-star review waiting to happen.
Laughs. Exactly. So you have to be flexible, willing to work evenings, weekends, even overnight sometimes.
Yeah.
Got to minimize that disruption to their business.
Okay, so we're thinking ahead, keeping their bottom line in mind the whole time.
Exactly. Or imagine you're in a healthcare facility. Everything there is about safety and compliance. So, like, meticulously documenting every cleaning agent you use, making sure it meets every single regulation is huge.
It's like they've got a checklist for everything, which makes sense. The stakes are way higher.
Absolutely. And that meticulousness, that's what sets the really successful restoration companies apart in this world. It's about building that trust and proving your expertise right from the get-go.
Okay, so we've navigated the who's who of decision makers and how important it is to, like, really customize our approach. But let's talk about everyone's favorite topic, money. How do we handle budgeting for these bigger projects in a way that makes sense for both sides?
Transparency is key. Ditch those vague estimates. Nobody likes those. Commercial clients, they want clear, itemized breakdowns, labor, materials, everything spelled out.
Nobody wants to get hit with a surprise bill bigger than the initial water damage they called you about.
For sure. And beyond just, like, listing out costs, think about putting together some tiered service packages.
Now that's interesting. What's that look like in the restoration world?
Let's say you're dealing with water damage, right?
Hmm.
A basic package might focus on just drying things out and doing those absolutely essential repairs. A standard package could include mold remediation and cleaning up the contents, furniture and all that. And then you'd have your premium package. That's the works full reconstruction with those high-end finishes.
So it's like choosing your level of disaster recovery. Gives clients options, helps them work within their budget. I dig it.
Right. It shows them you're not just trying to push the priciest option. You get it? You understand their needs. Now, when you're putting together those contracts, especially those long-term agreements, that's where you got to think incentives.
Ooh, like bonus air scrubbers? Spill-proof carpets? Give me the good stuff.
Think more along the lines of volume discounts for clients with those ongoing needs, the ones that are going to keep you busy. Or maybe you offer a price lock for a certain period, protects them from any future price hikes.
Smart. It's like saying, hey, partner with us and we'll weather that inflationary storm together.
Exactly. You want those win-win situations. Now, speaking of finances, we can't forget about everyone's favorite F word.
Don't you dare say it. We'll dive into that delightful world of invoicing and actually getting paid in the next part. All right, we dodged that F-bomb for now, but we can't ignore it forever. Invoicing, it's a beast, even with residential clients. But I'm guessing with these big commercial accounts, it's a whole other ballgame.
You're telling me commercial clients, They often have way more hoops to jump through. Purchase orders, approvals from like every level. It can mean waiting longer to actually see your money if you're not careful.
That's what I'm talking about. Cash flow is king, especially in this business. So how do we navigate those waters?
Crystal clear invoices, my friend. That's your life raft. Remember all those detailed breakdowns we talked about? They're not just for show, they're critical here. No lumping everything together. Each service, the cost, even a little description. Itemize it all.
So instead of just saying mold remediation, it's mold remediation removed, affected drywall in the break room, treated surrounding areas, that kind of thing.
Bingo. The more detail, the better. Trust me. Shows you're on top of it, prevents confusion later on.
No arguing over what general cleanup means. I like it. Now, what about payment terms? Any tips for dealing with those longer payment cycles these bigger companies usually have?
Oh, for sure. One thing that's pretty standard in the commercial world is offering net 30 or net 60 terms. It basically gives the client 30 or 60 days to pay the invoice after you send it over.
Okay, so playing by their rules, fitting into their system.
Exactly. And hey, to make it even sweeter, maybe you offer a little discount for early payment. Say 2% off if they pay within 10 days. Saves them a bit, gets you your money faster, everybody wins.
Love me a win-win. But you know what else I thought was brilliant, even though it kind of scared me at first? The whole idea of offering free inspections or giving a discount on those initial services feels counterintuitive, but also like genius marketing.
Right. It's all about showcasing what you bring to the table up front. Think of it like those little samples they give out at the grocery store. Once they've had a taste of your expertise, they're way more likely to pick you for the main course.
And speaking of picking you, let's talk about moving beyond that first project. How do we turn these commercial clients into those long-term partners, those loyal customers who are out there singing your praises to everyone they meet?
Ah, the holy grail, right? Word of mouth marketing is gold. Encourage those happy customers to spread the word, maybe even offer a little bonus for referrals, new leads that pan out.
Now we're talking. Building a whole network of raving fans who've seen your disaster-busting skills in action.
You got it. And don't underestimate the power of positioning yourself as the expert, the go-to in your industry. And I'm not just talking about a fancy website. It's about giving out actual valuable information.
Okay, so think blog posts, case studies, maybe even webinars.
You're getting it.
Yeah.
Share what you know. Show them you're ahead of the curve, up on the latest and greatest tech, all of that. Imagine putting together a detailed case study about how you tackled this crazy, complicated mold situation in a busy office building.
Talk about street cred. It proves you've been there, done that, and probably have the hazmat suit to show for it.
Exactly. It's not about cold calling. It's about letting your reputation speak for itself.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. We talked about understanding this whole world of commercial clients, nailing those budgets and invoices, and everything in between. But it seems like the common thread running through all of it is building trust, exceeding expectations, becoming more than just a guy who cleans up messes, but a real partner.
You hit the nail on the head. It's a shift in mindset, really. Embracing the strategies that turn those one-off jobs into long-lasting, profitable relationships.
And speaking of lasting and profitable, any final words of wisdom before we wrap up this part of our deep dives? How can our listeners really wow their next commercial client? It's like going the extra mile, but in the restoration world, it's more like an extra layer of antimicrobial sealant.
I like that. It's those little extras that take a satisfied customer and turn them into, like a walking billboard. What can you offer that really says, hey, I get what you need?
Okay, I'm picturing a little welcome kit. Maybe like a branded clipboard with all the important numbers, a timeline for the whole project. Oh, and those little individually wrapped cookies that say "We crumb on disasters" on them.
Now you're talking. It really doesn't have to be anything over the top, but those little touches, they really make a difference.
Yeah, you're not just there to dry some carpets and bounce. You're invested. Their peace of mind, keeping their business going. You're a part of the solution.
Exactly. And when you put that kind of dedication together with everything else we've been talking about, all that meticulous documentation, the transparent pricing, those custom solutions, you're not just a vendor anymore. You're a trusted partner.
And that, my friends, is how you not just win those commercial clients, but how you keep them coming back for more.
It all comes down to building those long-term relationships. That's what really fuels sustainable growth in this business.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one big takeaway, that golden nugget of wisdom you want to leave our listeners with as they head into their next big commercial project?
Don't be afraid to really go above and beyond. Put yourself in your client's shoes. Anticipate what they're going to need. Pay attention to all the details and always try to over-deliver. That's how you stand out in this business.
Words to live by. Well, there you have it, folks. Our deep dive into the world of commercial clients in the restoration industry. Remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Focus on building those genuine partnerships, and you can turn those big jobs into lasting success.
And hey, maybe even enjoy some delicious cookies along the way.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Until next time, happy restoring, everyone.